How do you start these? How do you start a video? You say what's up? Do you greet people? Hello, welcome. What is up, YouTube? That's the one I've heard a lot. Chris Bumstead, if you don't know C-Bum, that's a good one. What is up, YouTube? So today we're going to talk about 3 things I like about my HOYT VENTUM 33 after 3 weeks of shooting it. So the number one thing for me, one of the main reasons I bought this bow, is the draw cycle. The HBX cam on this bow is super smooth. I love the draw cycle on these bows. It doesn't really feel aggressive at all. It's kind of just like, it's just easy. Oh, there's a bump, and then it's just in the back wall, in that valley. There's nothing there. It holds super well. The back wall on it is great. There's a little bit of flex, which I enjoy. These HBX cams on this bow, I have them currently set at 85% let off. It's set at 70 pounds, and it feels like a 60 in a lot of other bows, at least to me. I don't know, I'm sure other people will have mixed opinions, right? Everybody has like personal preference, and a lot of this is personal preference when it comes to bows. When it comes to shooting, it's a lot about feel and what feels good to you, to the way you're built, your body, your strengths, your weaknesses. This bow feels great to me. The draw cycle is awesome. It's ridiculous, I think. That's the reason I bought this bow. This bow's draw cycle makes me want to continue shooting. It makes me want to go back, pick it up every day, and shoot it. It's just fun to shoot. I don't know why. It's just smooth, it's comfortable, and it's fun to shoot. I haven't really felt that way about a bow in a while. I felt like I was always, I don't know, like always like fighting something with my last few bows. And those were great bows, and I killed a lot of deer with those bows, and I loved them for certain things. But one thing that I didn't like was I always felt like I was like every time I shot, I felt like something was wrong. Like every time something felt different. Every time something felt off. And it got to the point where it just didn't feel enjoyable to shoot. And I like shooting a bow. I've been shooting a bow since I was 4th grade, 3rd grade, like a legitimate bow. Like before that, I was shooting the little stupid ones in the backyard, straight up in the sky, and hoping it didn't come down and pierce my skull. I don't know, comfortable. I guess comfortable is the best word for this draw cycle for me. It's just super comfortable. It's just so easy. It comes back so nice. It holds well. And that kind of brings me to another point. One of the other things I like, the second thing I like about this bow is the grip. I know you're going to hear things, again, it's personal preference. Sometimes people like bare grips. In other words, there's no like outer layer around the grip. It's just right on the riser of the bow, just right against the aluminum. So, you know, that throat of that grip, the top of that grip is just aluminum. The whole thing is aluminum. I guess there's benefits to that. I like a shaped, formed plastic grip. I've gotten to the point where I really enjoy that. There's a couple reasons. Number one, I've hunted with this bow a few times. It's been cold. It hasn't been freezing, but it's been, you know, 30s, 40s. I mean, 30s can be freezing, right? But I'm talking, it's not like 10 degrees out. But one thing I'm noticing for sure is that this plastic rubbery grip is definitely nice to hold in the woods. Like it doesn't transfer that cold feel of an aluminum bow. When you pick up an aluminum bow in the woods, it's freezing, right? And you know it. And if you're holding that bow for a minute, like just walking into the woods, like some of the spots I hunt are pretty far out there, so I've got to walk a little bit, and I'll throw my bow on my back and you know, do the stabilizer next to my neck and the sight next to my neck, carry, however you want to call that, the back carry, the shoulder carry. But if I'm carrying by the handle, this bow is, it's coming in clutch with that. I love it. It's so nice. It's like warm to the touch. It's not like hot. Like you don't pick up this bow and like you can heat your hands up on it. But just referring to the grip, at least it's not cold. It doesn't feel like it transfers cold through you. It's the Iceman. He's just like shooting cold into the palm of your hand. This plastic rubber grip does not do that at all. It maintains like some sort of, again, it's not warmth, but at least it's not freezing, transferring that cold into your hand. Excuse me. I got a coffee here and I need some. I like to hold my bow there, kind of a medium-low grip. It's hard for me to mess that up, which is great, because with my last few bows, which were just riser, aluminum riser, there wasn't any shape to it. It's just, you know, kind of like a rectangle if you're looking at it from the back. It always felt like that grip was in a slightly different position, you know, or maybe my hand position wasn't as high up, or maybe I was putting a little more pressure down low on my palm. This grip, just because of the shape and the way the throat is shaped at the top of the plastic rubbery grip, I feel like it's just every time my grip just goes to the same spot. It just hits the same spot, and it makes my shot so much more consistent. Like, I've gotten this bow sighted in to 70 yards a lot faster than I've ever gotten any other bow sighted in. What's the word I want here? I'm gonna have to cut this section out. Cut. There's definitely an advantage to a shaped grip, at least for me, because it just forces my hand to the same spot. Like, it's hard for me. I've tried, because it like intrigues me, and I'm enjoying this bow so much that I'm like, I want to see if I can mess it up. I want to see if I can do what I used to do. So I'm like trying to put my hand in another position, and it just doesn't feel right at all. Where with the old bow, because there's not a lot of shape, it was hard to recognize when it wasn't in the correct position. With this bow, because there's some shape, and it's not like there's a baseball on the back and you're you know, gripping like that, but because there's a little bit of you know, width in the side of that plastic grip, and then it narrows down at the throat, it just feels like every time it's just going to the same spot. And being consistent in archery is the name of the game. Like, you might not have the best shot in the world, your form might not be the best, your technique might not be the best, but if you're consistent, at least you can improve. Like, that's what's hard in archery, is when you're not consistent, the chances of improving are so difficult, because there's so many variables. Especially at distance, everybody can shoot at 20 yards, but when you get out to like 50 and 60 and 70 yards, that's when it starts to show, and that's when you can see your group starting to expand a little bit, and that's when you can see, you know, you start hitting left a little more. You know, you're pulling an arrow, or you're pushing kind of at the last second with that bow, and you're affecting the flight of that arrow. This grip for me is just, it's making it so I feel like I'm a better shot with this bow. Consistency, you know, increases your ability to improve on a certain area, because you're not going back and trying to figure out what you're doing wrong. So that consistency is helping me a lot. I love the grip on the HOYT VENTUM 33. The third thing I like about my HOYT VENTUM 33, after shooting it for 3 weeks, is the overall size of this bow. I'm coming from a 35-inch axle to axle. This is a 33. So it's only an inch on either end. It's not a big difference. It feels similar at full draw. The string angle feels very similar. I don't feel like I have to tilt my head down to catch that string angle, to touch it to my nose. I felt like with my 35, I was very natural. Just in position, draw back, and it was just kind of like right there. This bow, same thing. It's like here, and I'm right there. I don't feel like that's where the size is making a difference. I feel like the string angle is similar, even though it's a shorter axle to axle by, again, an inch on the top, an inch on the bottom, or 2 inches overall, however you want to look at it. 33 compared to a 35. It feels less clunky, if that makes sense. My old bow felt big, like with the stabilizers on it, sidebar, front bar, no quiver even. It just felt big. Like, there was something about that bow that felt large, and I'm okay with a larger bow. I loved shooting a 35 because the string angle is perfect. I think guys like myself who have a 30-inch draw, you know, I'm a bigger dude, maybe, I don't know, 6'2". I feel like longer axle bows are going to be beneficial for guys or girls that have longer draws. And I loved shooting the 35, but the bow itself just felt clunky. I don't know if it was the riser, the way the riser was shaped. I don't know. I feel like this bow feels smaller than it is, which is kind of great, because it feels like a super compact bow in terms of the riser, in terms of the shape, but yet when you draw it back, the string angle seems perfect. It doesn't seem like this severe string angle. Like some of these bows are like 27 inches axle to axle. Come on. Like, you're an adult. You can shoot a little bigger bow. 27 inches. Like, my arrow is longer than that. It's crazy. Like, I don't get that. So I love the size of this 33. It just feels perfect. Like, it just feels like it doesn't need to be any longer, but I also don't really want it to be any shorter. It just feels very good at 33. More length might be okay. Maybe not. Like I said, I was coming from a 35 from a different manufacturer. I love the 33 inches. It just feels good. It feels like a perfect size for me right now. I don't know. I loved my 35, but I really love the 33. It just, string angle's perfect. It doesn't feel like it's forced. That might be the thing. Kind of my 35, it felt like I had more bow than I needed sometimes. Like, if it just felt big. I think that's a total crock of shit when people are like, oh, you can't bow hunt in New England with a 35-inch bow. It's too tight. Like, where are you hunting that is that tight that you can't walk through it because of your bow that's 35 inches as opposed to your buddy's bow that's 33? And like, his bow is 33 inches and he just like strolls into the woods, but yours is 35 and you're like, oh, you're stuffing the bow, you're trying to get through the prickers and you're trying to come through the bushes, and it's like, it's so thick and you're like ripping the bow through this branch and like you're diving underneath this, like, but your buddy with the 33 or the 31 just strolls right into his tree stand. Like, come on, are you kidding me? That doesn't happen. That's not how it works. Like, a 35-inch bow is not too big to hunt with. It shoots great out of a tree stand. It shoots great out of a blind. It's just a bigger bow. 33 right now is feeling great. I love the 33. All within the same thing. The size, overall size of this bow, I think it really makes a difference with this inline type Picatinny system, right? So the sight I have on this bow is mounted on the front Picatinny rail, which is directly off the front of the riser. So there's no more side mounted sight. You're seeing companies move towards this. And then my QAD rest is mounted on a Picatinny rail right off the back of the riser, which brings that rest from the side of the riser to the rear, perfectly to the rear in line. So there's less weight off the side of this bow. I don't know if that's having an effect on that overall shot that I'm feeling. I will say one thing, this bow, I have more weight in stabilizers, and my stabilizers are longer, but yet the bow feels overall smaller. And like I said, it's only 2-inch total smaller in terms of total axle to axle. So it's like an inch on the top and an inch on the bottom, which is nothing. It's really nothing if you think about it like that. I don't know. It feels compact. The sight being in line on this bow is awesome. The rest being in line on this bow, it's awesome. When I put my tight spot quiver, it gets right up next to this bow. It's like as close as you can get without it hitting a limb. I don't know, it just feels really good. I'm absolutely enjoying shooting this bow right now, and I can't wait to start extending it and really reaching out there and taking some plucks at 100 yards and shooting targets at 100, and that kind of stuff's fun, just shooting in the yard and lobbing arrows out there. I'm liking it a lot. I'm shooting very consistently. My groups are looking good, like I said, especially after only a few weeks of owning this bow. And I'm reaching out there already and shooting consistently. And I'm noticing that when I feel like I made a good shot, it's hitting where I want it. And it feels like I'm making more good shots because of the grip, because of maybe the overall size or the way the bow holds, because of the fact that the sight and the rest are both in line, so there's not that extra weight off the side. Like I said, I do have more weight and stabilizers on this bow. I don't know. Is that because it's a 33? Does it wobble more at full draw? It doesn't feel like it. When I draw this bow back, it feels super dead, just like it just holds on target, especially at 20. I don't notice any pin movement at 20. At 60 and 70, I was starting to notice a little more pin movement. I literally put 1 more ounce of weight off the front of my stabilizer, and it just flattened it out. So that pin's just doing a little U right now. Very, very small U at 60 and 70 yards. When I get to 80, maybe there'll be a little more movement, but right now I like the way this bow's set up to the point where I'm not going to add more weight to it off the front or off the side. It just doesn't seem necessary because what I'm going to be doing with this bow is hunting in 3D, and I'm not taking 80-yard shots for whitetail. So, and even if I'm taking an 80-yard shot on an elk, I've been putting it in an elk draw. Even if I'm taking an 80-yard shot when I'm hunting, the pin is not moving that much right now at 70 yards. I don't think it's going to be that much more drastic at 80. I think it's going to be tight enough in terms of that pin float that I can shoot this bow as far as I want to and be as consistent as I want. I think that I get this idea in my head that I should be grouping at 80 yards the same way I'm grouping at 20 yards, and that's probably not realistic. So I need to kind of put the brakes on a little bit and say, all right, this bow is good right here for, 0 to 70 yards. I can hold and I can put it on target and hit bullseye, not every time, especially at 70, 100% not every time at 70, but consistently enough. And I think it's because of the draw cycle. It's so comfortable. It just makes me want to shoot this bow. The grip, super, super consistent for me. Every time I feel like I'm hitting the same spot with my grip, look at my bubble in my sight, and it's like, oh, it's right there in the middle. Just focus on the shot. Just focus on the pull and on the sequence, and just pull, break, and it's gone. It feels good, it looks good, and it hits where it's supposed to. Then just the overall feel in terms of size of this bow. The sight in line, the rest in line, the string angle, the 33-inch axle to axle, the way the riser feels, everything feels good. I'm loving this bow right now, and I can't wait to shoot it more. Yeah, so these excuse me,